You're listening to the Living Inside Out podcast, and I'm your host, Tokes Aroture. This is episode 95. Welcome to the Living Inside Out podcast, where we believe our purpose must help those who cross our path. Episode 95 is Healthy Solutions to Confront Life's Challenges. Hey you, how are you doing? I hope you are thriving. I hope you are doing great. I hope you're navigating your life with grace and with ease, and you are being kind to yourself. Thank you for tuning in with me today. If this is your first time, welcome. I am thrilled you're here. And if you've been here before, either your second time or 40th or 95th time, wow, I appreciate you so much. 95. 5 episodes away from 100, and we will celebrate big. I have no idea yet. Well, I do have an idea. I'm thinking of doing a live recording in front of an audience. So if you think that's a great idea and you'd like to be a part of that audience, let me know. Because it's going to be middle of summer. We're thinking or talking about 6 weeks from now. Yeah, I think it'll be a great idea. Have a live audience and we can all chat and be on the podcast together. That's a really, really good one. So, I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing because this week I got to speak to graduate students in Brazil. I did a talk on nurturing the mindset for entrepreneurs in the luxury industry, and it was surreal. So your girl is now a guest lecturer. But that's not what made it special. I'll tell you why it was special. Not just over 100 years ago, but in 1873 or 1871, my great-great-grandfather emigrated from Brazil, from Bahia in Brazil to Lagos. So my family is originally from Brazil, my father's side of the family. And they emigrated to Nigeria. Well, it wasn't Nigeria at the time, Lagos, and settled there. He was a cow merchant, and he used to take cows across to Lagos and sell them in an area now known as Cow Lane, or should I say Cow Lane was named after him because he was a well-known cow merchant. And the family settled in Nigeria, and that's the part of the family I come from, because other members of the family did not go to Nigeria. They remained in Brazil. So I have cousins in Brazil that I've never met and have no clue who they are. And so I'm speaking to this audience of hundreds of people and thinking, I wonder which of you is my relation, you know? But it was really special. It just felt like I was coming full circle to have a connection with a country that is where my roots lie. So I'm in a really positive space right now because my speaking career, that arm of my business, is doing well and doing what it's supposed to do. Someone said, only 2 things are certain, death and taxes. And let's clarify the stuff that happens in between. Challenges, difficulties, stuff. Right now, after months of waiting for a challenging season to end, I have finally embraced it as life. I found myself waiting. Don't know if you've ever been in that place where it's like being in a valley and you're waiting for someone to hoist you up onto the mountain so you can continue your journey. And I feel like I've been in the valley for quite a while, waiting, and I finally accepted that no one's coming to rescue me. No one's coming to flatten the valley for me. Rather the mountain for me. I've got to just pick myself up and accept that it is life. In a previous episode, I talked about life in the valley, that we always find ourselves there en route to our destination, but we're not supposed to stay behind and build our tents. Some people do, but we're not meant to. And if you're in a situation like that where all around you are mountains and difficulties and obstacles, then you know exactly what I mean. And I want to encourage you and let you know that these too shall pass, but you're going to have to get up and start walking again once you've rested. So recently, I came to a deeply inspiring revelation about our thoughts, emotions, and circumstances. Do you know that it isn't the circumstance that you're in that causes discouragement or sadness or anger or even happiness? It's your thoughts about it. Circumstances in themselves are neutral, they're neither good nor bad. Yes, I know that's subjective and I know that that's about to not make any sense at all, but hear me out. Circumstances just are. It's the ground on which we stand. It's the air that we breathe. It just is. It has no personality, no characteristics. It is our thoughts about it that cause the discomfort. Obviously, if you're in a circumstance that logically should cause discomfort, like financial, relationship challenges, or what have you, we would say that the circumstance is causing the sadness. But I want you to stand back and try and disassociate your mind and your heart from the circumstance and try and look at it from the point of view of an observer. Your thoughts connect the circumstance to you, and it is the thoughts that interpret what it means to you. And that's why you can have two people who are in very similar circumstances, and one is really happy and the other one's really sad. It's not because they are ungrateful, or one is ungrateful and one is content. It's just circumstances are interpreted differently. And this happens for a number of reasons. There are quite a few factors: personality, culture, your mood in that moment, your mental state. All of that all of them affect our interpretation of situations. But in the end, it is the thoughts you have that directly affect your emotions. Recently, I changed my phone provider. I went from paying a crazy business tariff to a ridiculously low one because I changed companies. I just thought, I've got to cut costs. And I switched over. The switchover process in 2024 really should be very smooth, but in this case, it wasn't. And at the back of my mind, I kept saying, well, Tux, what do you expect for the amount of money you're paying? What sort of service do you think you're going to get? So I want to keep my number, and I did the whole pack code thing and did everything I was supposed to do. They sent me the SIM card. I put the SIM card in my phone. And the next step is all download our app and follow the instructions. So I download the app and the app's telling me to enter a code that has been texted to the SIM card I have just entered in, which is on their own number. It hasn't been switched over yet. Well, of course, I don't know what the number is. In a nutshell, nothing's working. I don't know what the number is. I can't go on. I'm chatting with these people, and it got to a point where I really wanted to give the agent a piece of my mind. I wanted to be mean. I confess, not nice at all, but I wanted to be mean. I wanted to say to her, I advise you never to lose this job because you cannot possibly be hired anywhere else. The questions were dumb. The line of questioning was going, of course, it was just annoying. And I was angry to the point where after I got off the chat with her, I had to take a few breaths and ask myself, what the hell happened to you, Tokes? Why were you so annoyed? I didn't curse her out. I didn't do any of those. I was able to hold my tongue or my fingers from the keyboard, as it were. However, my anger was very much out of character for me. Now, fast forward to day 3. I'm still holding conversations with them, and this time I'm speaking to somebody else, and it's still not resolved. And I'm annoyed because I use my phone for business, because now they've ported my old number on, but they have not switched it on. So I literally have no phone. But this time around, when I had the conversation, my reaction was different. I wasn't angry. I could feel the anger and irritation threatening, but I was able to just push it right away and be reasonable. And this happened for a number of reasons. One, the conversation I had with myself after the first chat. And two was the fact that I was having this second conversation in the comfort of my home. At the start of the day, I was at peace. I wasn't stressed. I was upbeat. I had my devotional. I was in a better state of mind. And it was just a different day, Friday to be exact. Same scenario with the first one, but a completely different reaction. So when you look at that, this is a very simplistic explanation as to why our circumstances are not responsible for our emotions. But I hope that at the very least, you will give it some thought and be observant over the next few days. But you see, the reason I've brought this up is once we can agree that circumstances do not directly make us sad or happy or discouraged, then we can work on the part of us that creates our emotions. It doesn't mean that things will become favorable overnight, but it will allow us to navigate the hard without being discouraged or fed up or tired. Paul said, I have learned how to be content whether I have little or I have much. And I'm learning that contentment is a decision and it requires practice. Contentment isn't something that settles on you because you want it or because you read it in the Bible. So today I want to share 3 mindset shifts to adopt during a challenging season. My observations have come from watching me when I was going through my challenging seasons, or as I'm going through a challenging season right now as I speak. I noticed that all my energy and attention were diverted towards trying to change the circumstance so that I could be relieved of the stress. But that's like trying to physically move a mountain. It's better to change what you can, i.e., your mind, your viewpoint or perspective, and then receive peace and then allow your spirit to lead you around the obstacle as opposed to trying to hack away at the obstacle. What comes to mind is that lovely, lovely book, Who Moved My Cheese? Who Moved My Cheese is a little book. I unfortunately don't remember the author's name, but can be read in an hour or so, if I remember correctly. But it's a very powerful book about perspectives. They've got Who Moved My Cheese for teens and for kids. And there's even a YouTube animation that you can watch or your children can watch, or nephews, nieces. I highly recommend it. It is a book that teaches you to let go of what cannot be changed and to start dreaming a new dream. And I tell you, that was one book that changed my life. I'll tell you briefly before we go on to the mindsets. After we came back from the United States and a lot of our stuff was left behind, we put them in storage. So we had our stuff in storage because we thought we were going to go back. And for years, I'm not lying, for years we were paying the storage fee. I don't remember how much it was. And I want to say we paid for at least 4 or 5 years every single month. And one day I went to watch a theater production. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was one of Wole Soyinka's productions here in the UK. And my top strength is the appreciation of beauty and excellence. I didn't understand what that meant when I first did the test to find out what my top strength was, but I noticed that when I'm in a place where I can see beauty, excellence, skill, craft, giftings being displayed, I become incredibly inspired to the point where I'm shifted out of the position I'm in. And that's exactly what happened. I was watching these actors in their craft, in their element, and I was so stirred up to do something. And I picked up the phone in the theater, sent a text to my friend in Atlanta and said, I need a favor. I need to have my storage emptied. I sent the storage people a message and told them my friends were coming to clear it out. And it was the most liberating act that I had undertaken in years. And so my point is that you get a surge of energy once you stop fighting or holding on to the thing that's dead, the dream that's dead, and you're able to now use those hands to build a new dream. So the first mindset to adopt is to accept that everyone goes through challenges. When I lost the business in the recession 2008, I spent a lot of time drawing solace from the fact that there was a recession, that it wasn't something I did or something being done to me, like some, I don't know, juju or anything like that, because I did have someone suggest that to me. A few people said to me, this is spiritual, but that we were in a situation that affected many people. Many businesses were lost in that 2008. It was nicknamed the bloodbath in the business circles, and I couldn't stop it from happening. So I would look at that and I would look at other businesses that were closing down. And as sad as it was, there was a solace that I would feel that, okay, this was outside of my hands. Having a global view of your problems removes the burden felt by carrying it alone. Knowing that everyone is dealing with something or another settles you into facing your front, as we say in Nigeria, and making the best out of the situation you're in. You know, one promise that we have, Jesus himself, he said, in this life you will go through trials, but his word and promises give us peace, while the world's promises gives us trouble. To accept that trouble in the world is normal, you're going to have to get rid of comparison. Comparison, I call it the thief of destinies for many reasons. It is that mindset that tells you, oh, if only I had what they had, then my life would be perfect. I guarantee you that's not going to be the case, because remember, it is not circumstances or material things. It is that cause the discomfort or the discouragement. It is your thoughts about it. Your thoughts are not going anywhere. If you like, you can own the whole world. You're still not going to be 100% joyful, because we live in a fallen world. And your emotions come from within you. They are driven by your thoughts. For as long as you're capable of thinking, you will always be at risk of having negative emotions, and nothing anyone can give you is going to change that. Comparison is one of those traps. It is a trap. It traps you in a cycle, because your possibilities are tied to someone else, and nothing happens unless they free you. Resist the temptation to imagine a different life based on someone else's possessions or someone else's circumstance. And when we accept that challenges are normal and neutral, it stops us searching for the cause of our pain, which then allows us to nurture our soul. Because in the season of challenges, we need to nurture our soul and not leave it exposed to the elements. Challenges cause us to be vulnerable and easily hurt. Second mindset we need to adopt is resist the urge to medicate the pain. Now, it is human to avoid pain. I don't know of anyone that likes pain. We run away from pain, we avoid it, we work hard to make sure that we are not in a state of pain. But What if the only route to your destination requires falling into some potholes and going over some speed bumps? A powerful mindset to adopt throughout life is knowing that there is treasure in dark places. But unfortunately, too many of us search for the nearest exit and not the treasure. Again, I know because I've done that. What does medicating pain look like? Well, the very obvious zoning out when you should be taking action, which could be alcohol, shopping, eating, just numbing your mind, Netflix, anything like that. Scrolling, oh my goodness. I think my method of medicating pain lately has been scrolling on my phone. I really believe it is. And I know that it's unhelpful. So I've been working hard at stopping it. I just drop the phone in the middle, no preamble, no one more story or one more reel to watch, and I'll drop it. I just drop it and then jump into my work. But it's a habit that I'm working on still. If you have any tips, let me know. The third mindset we need to adopt is in not searching for someone or something to blame. In other words, taking responsibility for the whole of our lives. A common human response to crisis is to search for the cause of the crisis. And so we search for where to point our finger because we don't want to accept that we are the cause of our own suffering. That's like double trouble. Bad enough I'm suffering, and then now I've got to face up to the fact that I even caused the suffering as well. I don't think so. I'm not sure where blame comes from. Actually, it does come from the Bible. That the very first response to sin in the Bible was Adam blaming Eve. It's the woman you gave me. Actually, their first response was to hide, and then the second was blame. And I believe we do so to preserve ourselves. Wrongdoing exposes our nakedness, and it makes sense to divert the attention elsewhere. And I think that challenges have a very similar effect to wrongdoing, even when we're not responsible for the challenges we're going through, because it makes us feel vulnerable and we end up doing the same thing. We say, like, it's her fault or is that person's fault? My boys, I taught them from when they were young. The first thing I taught them, first lesson I taught them over and over and over was take responsibility for your actions. And I did that because I want them to have control over their lives. For some reason, when I was raising them as young children, I had it at the back of my mind that if God forbid something happened to me, I want to leave them with a mommy toolkit. I want them to continue to hear my voice and hear my words of wisdom and advice when I'm not here. So there were certain things and still certain things that I really drummed into their minds because there are life lessons that we can teach, but there are lessons that become tools for them to teach themselves even in your absence. And taking responsibility for your actions was one of them. I always would say to them, if you can point to somebody as the cause of your problem, or point to something as the cause of your problem, then that thing or that person has control over you. And you will not be able to direct all the affairs of your life. You will only be able to direct the positives and the happy ones. But what happens when you're miserable and when you're sad? Are you giving your power away to somebody to control you just because you're unhappy? And so there is immense power in owning all of your life, not just the good, but the bad as well, because it really does put you in charge of the direction that your life can go in. The minute you can hold something or someone outside of yourself responsible, you've given them autonomy over you. I want to leave you with a thought to ponder on. Challenges do not show up unaccompanied. This one, personal experience. They come with deception. And deception blinds us to the goodness of God while highlighting our lack or our suffering. A prayer I say when I'm discouraged is I pull down the veil that covers my heart, the veil of deception that's covering my heart, and I remove the blindfold of deception that's covering my eyes. because deception is not a real thing. Deception is a cloud, if you like, that swirls around your head so that your perception is altered. You're not viewing things as they are. You're viewing them through the you're viewing them through the veil, if we call deception a veil. It is simply a lie presenting itself as truth. And how you know you're in deception is when you, for example, if you believe in God and you believe that He loves you and you believe with all of your heart, one moment you're on top of the world you believe in and the next you're questioning, that's a sign of deception. Because what's happened is the veil has been draped in front of your eyes and your view has been altered. And you're now seeing through this fabric and you're getting this cloudy view of life that is very different from when the veil wasn't there. Think about wolves in sheep's clothing. Deception is a lie presenting itself as truth. It is your mind being wrapped up over and over with layers of the challenges so that you cannot think of anything else except what you're going through. And the best way to counter that lie is to internalize and speak the truth. God is good. God is able. God loves you. And His plans for you are good and not evil, to prosper you and give you a hope and a future. Deception allows you to view life through your emotions. And emotions are transient, very powerful, but they make bad leaders. And when your emotions begin to co-sign your circumstance as reality, know that you are starting to or you already believe a lie. And the easiest way to get rid of that lie is to internalize the truth, think upon it, meditate upon it, speak it out so that it comes out of your mouth and into your atmosphere, and then it also comes through your ears into your heart so that the truth kicks the lie away. Before I go, can I ask that you kindly review this podcast and give it a 5-star rating wherever you're listening, Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is that allows you to give it a rating and a review. It helps me to know that I'm doing the right thing and to continue to do it, or where I'm going wrong so that I can switch things up a bit. But in addition to that, or more importantly, it helps us get found so that more people can have access to this amazing material. You are wonderful. Thank you for listening. Connect with me on social at Toxarotore, and also head to my website toxarotore.com for mindset courses, coaching information, and more. Have a good one.